Before you go and see a financial advisor, it's important to get your finances in order and have your basic money plan in place. This ensures that 1, you get the most out of the session, and 2, you don't get bombarded by all of the numbers. Right, Rickson, so time for action. What does a money plan do?
I think the money plan would basically give you clarity on all the questions in your lives, the whys. You know, why am I working? Why am I saving this money? Where do I want my son to study? Where do I want my daughter to study? Where do I want to retire? How much money do I want to retire? I mean, there are questions, you know. Do we want to live rich and die poor? Or do we want to plan well? A money plan is all about planning. It's all about taking care of the future, right? So it's about saving first and spending later. I mean, if you look at the masses around, we're saving money. We're all saving money for a specific reason. Do we know what that reason is? And a money plan is about defining that reason. Without having that in place, we're just saving. We don't know. It'll waver. There will be no discipline. And in most cases, you'll end up shorter than where you should be. So I think a money plan is that part of the puzzle that just brings everything together. It's definitely something which is required in an individual's life.
It sounds essential.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You talked about living life. How does having a money plan help us really live that life that we truly want?
You know, first of all, having that money plan in place allows us to understand how much we're saving and for what purposes, right? I think we're all considering saving money first and spending later. Now, if we have a money plan in place, you know, that money plan will help us save that money for those specific purposes, and whatever else is left over after that, you know, is for us, is for our life, is to figure out what else we want to do with it, whether it's enjoy life with our family, take family vacations, you know, shopping as it is, coffee shops, whatever else that comes in. It could also be charitable causes that you want to help yourself, you know, help people with. But without having a money plan in place, you'll never know how much to put aside for those reasons, because you first have to sort out your own finances. You've got to make sure that you are independent, you are okay if something goes wrong. Then whatever else is left over just helps you live life the way you want it.
And really we able then to factor in those dreams that we
Absolutely, absolutely. Live life to your fullest thereafter. So. Yeah, so I think with the money plan in place, I mean, what you're essentially doing is you're writing your goals down, your financial goals down, which is very important for families over here. Without writing these goals down, you really don't know what you're saving for. I mean, you might reach a destination, it may not be your destination, it's probably somebody else's destination, right? Whereas if you've got your goals written down, then you know exactly what you're saving for, whether it's your children's education, whether it's your retirement, whether it's for that house you want to buy, whether it's for the life that you want to lead thereafter, you know, whatever it is. But if it's written down, then you know the planning starts from right there. It just makes everything so much more simpler.
And achievable.
Absolutely. It's measurable at the end of the day, so it's fantastic.
So if we want to get on with this, how is it that we create the plan and what information do we need?
I think first of all, again, we take into account us as individuals, our expense sheet. What is it that we want in our lives on a daily basis? What are our daily expenses? We have the big ones. We've got rent, we've got, you know, our retirement planning, etc., etc. But what are the big ones? There's school fees as well to take into account. And then there are the small things that slip in. Your daily expenses, whether it's your coffees, you know, from the neighborhood coffee shop, whether it's your grocery bills, you know, an extra 100 here or there, an extra 500 here or there, done on a weekly basis, that's 52 times a year, makes a massive difference. You know, if you take into account inflation and compound interest, that money could have done so much for you over the next 25 or 30 years. So it's important to take these factors into account, apart from just our bigger expenses. Ideally, what you should do is go over your expense sheet. Once you've created it, go over it again. Just make sure you eliminate whatever is not required. Go as lean as you possibly can. And once you've taken care of that, the spending can be based on whatever else is left over. You've budgeted yourself for your savings, for your retirement, for your education of your children, to buy that house. You've got your basic expenses covered, and now you know what the leftover is. And that's the bit of money that's available for you to do what you want with. So I think it's important to have the expense sheet out there, because when you look at your expense sheet, I mean, you've listed out all your expenses over there. Take a look at it again. Cut down the stuff that's not required. Because in there are things that may not be relevant to you as an individual. If you look around you, marketing is at its best right now, right? So you're encouraged to go out there and spend as much money as you possibly can, which is not necessarily a bad thing, except is it stuff that you really want, or is it stuff that your neighbor wants or your neighbor has? So it's important to make a list, some kind of a blueprint. A money plan would be basically that, and this would help you refocus on your goals and dreams that are relevant to you, so that you spend on things that are important to you versus on things that are important to the masses at large. Ideally, I'd say if you had that blueprint down, it would help you attain your bigger goals in life a lot quicker and a lot easier. It has to be something that you can go back to as a family on a regular basis and review again and say, you know what, we don't need this, or we need this instead. And it just helps smoothen out the entire process.
Brixton, you talk about goals and the importance of setting goals. Why is it important to have specific targets in particularly?
I think goals and your targets are your deadlines. These are measurable tools, and this actually helps you stay on track, stay on course. If you think of someone in the fitness industry or someone seeking out trainers and stuff, right? The reason they do this is they have a specific goal in mind, and the trainer helps them achieve that goal. There's a plan put in place, and you follow the plan. You eat healthy, you train, you work out regularly, etc., etc. It's not very different with finances. Now, you have a money plan in place, and all this helps you do is, along with your financial advisor, this helps you to stay the course. This gives you support when you need it, lets you know what you're doing incorrectly, where you're waving off track, and where you need to come back on. And I think it makes a huge difference that these goals are set, defined, and measurable. It's also important that these are discussed on a regular basis, because it's very easy to fall off course. It's very easy to just go off track. So I think a regular reviewing of this as well would definitely make a huge difference.
We talked about awareness earlier on in the season. Tell us, Brixton, why is it so important for us individually to really brush up on our own money skills?
We spend a third of our day, 5 days a week, making that money.
Yeah.
And then we leave it to the experts to handle. And maybe it's a mentality which exists in Dubai, but people don't like to take responsibility for their own money. They think if it's passed on to the expert, it's now their onus, right? End of the day, if that money is lost, it's your money that's lost. It's not their money that's lost. So it's very important to take responsibility and onus on your own money skills. You need to know where your money is invested. You need to know how to invest your money. You need to do your own read-ups on this. I mean, there's all the information that you need available online. There are books available. I mean, there are tons of information. So I think it's very important that we take responsibility of this. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when we decide to retire, if your consultant who made that sale to you is not around, pointing a finger at them isn't going to bring you back all that money.
Yeah.
It's very important that you know exactly what's happening with your money. It's your own interest that makes all the difference.
It will certainly empower you to have that control.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the people who are the richest people in the world today, they're very tight-fisted with their money. They're not spending it on things that other people have and other people want. It's about what they want. It starts with saving, and it starts with being responsible for your own money. And that's very, very important.
UAE Money Talk began as a vision to deliver news and views about money today to people living in the UAE. We hope you have been empowered to take control of your financial life through this series.